Now, another disclaimer, I might need to have Chris Crockett leave for my presentation. I was told there'd be no attorneys here, and so I kind of took some shots at some attorneys at
Me personally?
Yeah, all characters. No, actually, they're all the jokes, just look at them as plaintiff attorney jokes. And I know he doesn't do any plaintiff work, so we should be good that way. So in reality, when we go to a conference like this, you'll leave, and a week from now, if I asked you what I even spoke about, you'd say I have no idea. Right? Because in reality, when we leave, within a week, we've forgotten everything. We take with us about 10% of what we hear in the conference. So there's only two things in my presentation I want you to remember, and I'm going to point those out to you. So those are, and when I point those out to you, yeah, the other stuff, because really the other stuff we can get through, that we can get by without, but there's two things that we can't get through. So with that, my topic was claim reporting. Now, that's like being told you're going to go talk to a bunch of people on how to get a root canal. I mean, how do you make that exciting? But, so I went and had a root canal, my first root canal, and immediately I asked for the laughing gas.
Just for this presentation?
For this presentation. I said, can I have a root canal? And then also, can I watch the show, The Pink Panther, the original one? And next thing you know, I'm laughing so hard that I couldn't even, the doctor couldn't work on my teeth. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to try to throw in a few jokes to kind of keep this from being not like a root canal. So to start out, there's only one way to make time fly. Do any of you know how to make time fly? Hey, you got it. You take your clock and you throw it. That's the only way to make time fly. Yeah, we didn't get a lot of laughter, so this is a rough crowd. We're going to have to take it up a notch. I purposely did that kind of a dumb joke first, just to see what kind of crowd I had. See how bad I was going to have to work it. Okay, so how many of you in here have entered a claim? Pretty much everyone? So majority of you. The ones that never have to or never will, you can go take a break or whatever. But, no, I'm kidding. Because you need to watch just in case someday someone's out and you need to enter a claim. So I didn't put the login page, but when you go to Claim Reporter, when you go to turn in a claim, you log in, and this is the first screen that comes up. Now, when you see this screen, the first thing you're going to do is look at the date of loss. So right there is the date of loss. If you know when the event occurred, like the car wreck happened on March 23rd at 2 o'clock, what's the date of loss? March 23rd. Pretty easy, right? Every once in a while, you got a claim in that says, your county has been plowing my street for 15 years and they trespass on my property and blah, 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 but there's never a date. That date is going to be the date you're entering this claim. Because that will be considered a occurrence date. Instead of occurrence date, it's going to be claims made date. It's the date you made the claim. So that's the only two differences there. So when you look at that, if you don't know exact date, just put today's date. Today you're in. Okay? Okay, this next box, this is the big one. So the two things you have to remember, this is one of them. That right there is what type of claim is it? And the reason that is a bad one is once you get past this screen, you can't go back. And when I get it, I can't change it. So if you guys enter the wrong type of claim there, it sets a bad precedent for what happens in the future. So, which brings me to my first joke. Yeah. So, what is the number one cause of death? Does anyone know the number one cause of death? Any guesses?
Old age. Stop breathing.
No, birth. Okay. We'll get a little better as we go. But the reason I say that joke is because it's the same with this here. If you put the wrong incident, it's going to eventually end with the death of the claim, because the claim is going to be wrong, and I might have to re-enter it because it's messed up. So we're going to go into what those are. Don't panic yet. The next slide is what that is about. And so you put data loss, what type of claim, and then you go to new incident, and then you put new incident, and it starts the claim. Let's go to the next page, and there they are. So, oh, by the way, you notice how this has a drop-down box? So you have to click on that drop-down box to get the 3 choices. And there's only 3 choices. So you have a 33% chance of getting it right. So here we go. There's your 3 choices. Liability is a liability, auto, or a property claim. Now, liability, keep in mind that is going to be anyone that is making a claim against you. They're mad at the county for whatever. It's involving someone else coming against the county. If it's an auto claim, it means any claim involving a county vehicle. And I'm going to do a trick question here in just a second. And then property claims are any buildings, contents, anything that the county owns. So the county owns. Okay, so here's the question. Yeah, let me answer this and see if it applies to you. Someone in the county is mowing the lawn, they're mowing lawns, and it throws a bunch of rocks and shatters the vehicle of a bunch of cars. Is that an auto claim or a liability claim? Liability claim. Even though it was an auto, it's not an auto, it's a liability, because it was actually, we were doing something that caused, doesn't matter, it was a car or whatever it was. Go ahead.
We recently had a situation, vandalism of an auto and property. Do you want those on 2 different claims?
Yeah, and we're going to get to that because that's the second thing, the most important thing. Because that's those. Because there's really only those 2 issues that can ruin a report. Anything else you do in this report, I can go in and change, and we can clean it out. But those 2 issues: who's making the claim, and what type of claim, are the 2 issues that I can. So, okay, so very good. You got that. So here's the, so.
Is it defaulted to liability?
Yeah, it's always defaulted to liability for some reason. Every time it'll be, but just click on the little box and bring up those. Now, well, it's one of those things you call it. Can we just change that to auto there first? Well, that'll be a $50,000 change.
Yeah, right.
For what? You just change them? Anyway, it's funny how programmers are. Okay, so the other day my wife had all her friends over, and I noticed that they all had a picture of me in their purses. And I was puzzled by that, and I said, so why do you all have these pictures of me in your purses? And they said, oh, it's because when our husbands are completely and annoying, driving us crazy, we just pull out a picture and we think, that could have been worse. Sorry. I'm trying to get out. This is a really bad subject. I'm really struggling here. Okay, so we push that, we enter it to new incident, and we start on the claim. So we go here, and it picks up the data loss, and then you get this, and that's all you get. So if you look here, there's a drop-down box. And that drop-down box is going to, when you click on that, it's going to bring up what department was in. So it'll bring up a box that'll say county attorney, county assessor, county clerk, county sheriff, all the way down, and that's when you can pick, who it is. And then you just hit new. Okay, so how many attorneys does it take to change a light bulb? None. They want to keep them all in the dark. Okay, so click on the box, bring down, and of course we're going to pick on the county attorney. So we're going to say county attorney had a claim. So we click on the county attorney, and it's going to bring up that automatically. You don't need it. Those boxes will come in pre-filled. So this was a Davis County, and it just brought Davis County, state, Utah, of course, UCIP, and you don't, those are just going to be automatic. So you don't have to worry about those. So because this is a very easy screen, you just make sure that that came up correct. And then you're just going to hit new. And that'll go to the new claim. So, okay, so you have your commissioner. Now, all of you are pretty much risk managers, right? In the risk management department. So you have a commissioner and you have your risk manager, and the county is taking them to the guillotine. And they want to just chop their heads off because they're just tired of the commissioner and the risk manager. So the commissioner goes up, puts his head down on the guillotine, and the guillotine comes down and it gets caught on something. So they said, wow, it must meant to be. The commissioner is fine, he can go free. So then the risk manager walks up and says, oh, I see the problem. That's probably how you fill your jobs, I would imagine. It's like when the commissioners seem to do no wrong, and the risk managers seem to be the ones that are always the bad guy. The ones that, why, we can't do that, we can't use our county car in the Derby. Yeah, and you have to say, no, we probably shouldn't do that. And you have to tell them nicely. Okay, then county information. This screen, you're going to put the, yes?
With relation to this screen, why do we have to fill this in every time? Why can't it populate from our login?
I agree.
Password?
I agree, because like in this one,
Yes.
if it's Charlie Lamp logging in up here, because it says her name up there, why doesn't it just bring up Davis County
Yeah.
and just have that one already done? That is something you can ask claims of. Marty, make a note of it.
You're the claims
Because that would
manager.
be great. Because you're right. Because once you put that in, because every time you have to enter Member County, Weaver County, Kinley, address, date. That is a good point.
Just self-populate.
That would just self-populate, and then you could just put move, and we can just move on to our next joke. Since this is an easy screen, right? So what did God say? Okay, you know actuaries. I don't know if you know actuaries, what they do very much, but what did God say when he was making when he got down to a group of people and he said, I guess you guys will be actuaries. What did he say? He just scratched his head and said, go figure. Okay, so moving on. County information. Really, the main thing about this screen is that I wanted to talk about was this occurrence description. You know, you don't really need the time of the accident unless it's relevant. You know, you don't even know. So you don't really, yeah, that time will let you go by. Dave reported is good. We kind of like to know when you got it. The occurrence description. That one's kind of funny because I love how the counties like to try to justify what happened. So I get this long thing. The sheriff went to pick up his sister who got in trouble because she just got out of jail and had to go over there and pick up the brother and go to nieces and nephews and have a birthday party. And then on the way, the deer hit him in the car. You're like, why do you just hit a deer? So if you want, you can go very blunt on what happened. Just car accident, left turn in front of other vehicle. I don't need to know the history of where they're going and how their dental appointment went and all that stuff. It could be really just short. The location, if you know it, the address, the location, those, if it's a lawsuit, you can just skip all that. So just brief description and then right here, attach file. That's where you want to go and just attach the lawsuit, attach the notice of claim, attach any pictures, attach any estimates, and they'll just go right to the file. So that one is an easy one. Okay, back to the actuaries. Do anyone know the difference between an actuary and a mafia don? A mafia leader? Sorry. The The X-ray wants to know how many, he knows how many died, whereas the mafia man wants to know the names. Okay, so that's easy. Violations and citations. This one's not too bad. But this is a good one if you have the information. Because if it's investigated, because sometimes in a car accident in a parking lot, the police won't take a report. They'll just say, it's just an incident, here it is, here's your name and numbers, and let you go. But if it's out on the street, they'll do an actual investigation, and that's good to know. Because then we can get usually you guys are great on sending us police reports. That's been wonderful. You get the police report, and you just put there, investigated, yes, here's the report number, violation, but if it's in the attachments, and you're in a hurry, I'm not going to be crushed if you skip all this, if it's all attached anyway. But, you know, those are there. Violation, yes. Report obtained, yes. Litigated. Now, right there towards the bottom, if it's a litigation file, you may want to put yes. Complaint filed, whether it's served or filed, those are good to know. The date it was served. So those four right there are good to know, because then we see right off the bat, oh, this is served, and it was served 20 days ago, and we have 21 days to answer it. It's always comforting. So, anyway, so the insurance agent says to this little young boy, he says, so how did your grandfather die? Really sad to hear that grandfather died. He says, oh no, he died wonderful. He died in his sleep. It was really nice. And he says, in fact, that's how I want to go. I don't want to go like the people that were screaming in the car. Sorry. I probably should do comedy. Okay. Claimant. Okay. Remember I said there's two things we have to learn today? One was whether it's property out of liability. The second one is the claimant. Now, Colleen, should we have you come up and talk about this one?
Seriously? Really?
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Thank you.
The reason
I have to
is,
do a bunch.
you will know why, right? So last summer, Rich County had a guy in a senior van. He pulls out, he hits a vehicle that's just going along the road. Pulls out, hits them. He rolls the vehicle, but he's pulling his father's wave runners, and they go rolling off, and they're all smashed. And he put how many people in the hospital? It's like 6 or 7.
Yeah, at least.
A few, a lot of people in the hospital. So, Colleen, who was the claimant in that claim?
Thank you for putting me on the
I'm
spot.
kidding, and I'm not kidding.
So-
Remember what happened. So I'll save you, don't worry.
Okay.
So what happened was, so she entered it just like most everyone else would, and say a county vehicle got in an accident. The claimant is, her first response would be the guy that was in the van that she hit. So when the claim populates in the claim system, the claim I have is for Mr. Smith. His vehicle was towed, wrecked. That is a claim. That gets its own jacket. That gets its own letter saying, we've received your claim, and here's the claim number. It gets its own claim number. That's the end of the day. But see, the problem is, I need other claims. I need a claim for the father that had the wave runners. I need a claim for the county vehicle. So then I call up Colleen again and said, can I get you to enter a claim for the county vehicle? So this time she enters the same claim, everything the same, except on claimant, instead of putting first name of John Smith here, she puts under last name, she just puts Rich County with the Rich County address. That populates a claim number, populates a claim, and we have a claim for the county vehicle. Yeah.
Isn't there a way they can put, so that you don't have to go through and enter
I
every
know.
single thing again, just put add another claimant, like a button down at the bottom, add another claimant,
Amen.
add another claimant.
Amen.
You're really just entering the same stuff over and over
Yep.
again.
And so what I did with Colleen, so in this case, once I did the first one, really, everything else was just this screen. I would hit instant, skip, all the investigated, who's, the witnesses, all those screens. I just skip, enter in the claimant, skip to the end and hit it. And so I entered them for her because I figured she was busy. I know she was overwhelmed because Bill Cox, said, I think she's scared.
We were best friends,
Is
but
there a way they can change this to add that in there? Because 9 times out of 10, well, most of our claims are police officers getting in car accidents.
Right.
And you're always going to have 2 claimants. You're going to
Always.
have our vehicle
At
and their
least
vehicle.
you're going to have the
Yeah.
vehicles, that's for sure.
Yeah. And
So then an injury.
It's just always a matter of having to redo everything
Right.
all over
We're
again.
supposed to enter twice.
Yeah, every claim has its own claimant.
Or on the part where it says the county information, have a checkbox on there, is this a claimant? Yes, we're a claimant also, or something like that. So
Right,
you
some
don't
way to
have
make
enter.
multiple claims,
Sure.
yeah. Believe me, it's driving me crazy. And if we can figure out a way to make it so that we can streamline it like that and just put, like right this screen, if you could potentially have claimant and then have, multiple of these going across and you fill in all the claimants and then it generates
Or even
claim
just at the
number.
bottom, add another claimant.
Yeah,
Another
because,
button.
yeah, an add button, and then you just add a claimant, and then as long as it generated its own claim number, you'd be fine. Does that all make sense to you? Because this is really the only thing I wanted to get out of this thing is this is an issue that we've been struggling with, is how, because the county will call in and say, well, I already entered a claim for that one. And I'll say, yeah, but that was for the county vehicle, now I need one for the, because this claim turned into, the next thing you know, I needed a whole new claim for the father that owned the wave runners. Because they needed its own claim number, and they're calling me totally separate. The father's not calling me about his son's truck, his son's injury, he's calling me about his wave runners. So I want to be able to go to one file and say, yep, here it is, and here's the claim number, and pay it under that, so that the reports are correct. Because if you don't do it right, the reports would be all messed up. You'd be like looking at the claim going, well, you had one claim that you paid out this, what's all these year payments, and you paid a total of $80,000. Well, it was multiple claims. It wasn't 80,000. The 80,000 was multiple claims. So I hate to break the bad news to you, but right now, unfortunately, every single claim is its own claim, and the claimant is whoever is making claim for damages. And that might be the county. And put your county name under last names. The claimant last name would be right there, Washington County, and their address, phone number, and you are now coming up the claimant. As of right now, when you guys leave this blank because it's just the county hit a deer, it populates just claim zone as just the claimant. So I then manually go in and change it to Washington County instead of it just populating in. Yeah, so there's a lot of things.
Because that's what because I do that one.
Yeah. And so I go in and have to type in clean out claim zone to Washington County. So
But I
they,
wonder if it could be the same claimant number, but when you hit the add another claimant, I'm not a programmer, but if it went same claim number A, same claim number B, C, like, you know what I mean? So it was just
Yes.
linked, but you could see the different.
yeah, so who was here about 15 years ago? Any of us? So, yeah, a few of us. I know a few of us around. Remember how they used to be that way? It used to be like Sevier County, it'd be SEV-0001 dash, and then the year, and then it'd be -01, and then -02, and -03. That program allowed that to happen. It did the multiple like that. Same claim number, it just added another. Yeah, except that one was really, you cannot believe the premium, the cost for that program. They were just, I mean, it was like $180,000 a year. It was crazy. So we had to get out of that anyway.
So there's no damage to the county vehicle when you file?
So there's no damage to the county vehicle. The only claimant is the guy that you hit. If the county vehicle is under the deductible, don't enter a claim. Just enter for the claimant. Don't even enter one for the county because, yeah, it's just more time for you. So this is really the screen I want to spend all our time on and reminisce So, anyone want to? Yeah. So I don't want to move on until we're really sure, because what are the two issues we're remembering today? Type of claim and who the claimant is. That's it. Everything else is just a bunch of jokes, right? So what's the difference between a catfish and a lawyer? One is a slimy, bottom-dwelling scum sucker, and the other is a fish. Sorry. I hope we're friends after this.
He's writing them down.
Yeah, he's a good. Yeah, well, I'm just worried that he's going to go back to Dave Wilson and say, "Are you sure you had a good relationship with him?"
So this is when he says no hard feelings, don't take it personally.
Yeah. This is a very difficult screen. Anyone see why it's difficult? I'm kidding. It's just witnesses. If you have a witness that you think is relevant, put it in there. Like you have an accident that, one driver says this, one driver says that, and you got a great witness that says, hey, the county guy was totally doing what he was supposed to be doing. And, you put that in there. But so when an attorney dies, why did they bury an attorney 60 feet down instead of just regular 6 feet? Because deep down, they're good people. Okay. How are we on time, Johnny? I think I'm going to get booed off the market here. Okay, so last remarks. This one looks like this one actually, I like this screen. Because this is when you can tell me the rest of the story. If you want to say hit a deer and you want to tell me, hey, by the way, this is a great place to do that. If you really think it's something I might find interesting, like, some weird thing. By the way, I think this lady's crazy. Go ahead and put it in there, because, until they discover it. Yeah. No, this would be a good place to say, oh, by the way, in this case, the county had no damage, or just any note to me. I think you already set this up, Korby, or we may have already turned this claim in, or just any kind of, I like it, just to put in there. That's good. So why does California have the most attorneys, and New Jersey has the most toxic waste dumps? New Jersey got first pick. Very good. Okay. We're okay. So, bottom line, this is the end. This is the conclusion. Is good things to remember. What time am I due, Johnny? Am I 3:15?
Kurt's going to talk about the workers' comp reporting.
From 3:15 to 3:30, right? Was that about 15 minutes? Okay, so we got 5 minutes or so we're good. Liability claims cannot have a deductible. So if your county vehicle just scratches another car and it has $150 damage, there's no deductible. We pay that 100%. Pay the county, claimant, person never has a deductible. It's amazing how many times people get confused on that. And they say, oh, we're not turning it in because we just knocked their mailbox down and it's $80 there's a deductible. So there is no deductible. The vehicle on the county's part does have a $1,000 deductible. Property losses, they typically $500. Davis County has opted to do a more self-insured and have a higher deductible on the property. So that is an option, but typically for all the rest of the counties, they property losses have a $500 deductible. There's a $1,000 deductible if it's a flood. And the last question here is the one I wanted to focus on the most. So, when a county should deny a claim and when we should deny a claim. So, a great example is when an event has happened on a county road. The people send in a notice of claim claiming that something happened on a county road. They say, oh, some guy was riding his bike down the road and he crashed. And I really don't have access to know if that's a county road or not, whereas the county does. County knows, they know that situation a lot better than I do. That would be the time when the county is probably better off to shoot a quick note saying, this is a city road, not a county road, have a nice day. Please, attorney. Because the county actually understands the details of why we're denying the claim. I wouldn't know the details of a situation like that if someone, hit a pothole and it's out on a city road or something. It's nice when the county just sends a quick letter saying this is a city road, have a nice day. Because then I'm not trying to send a letter saying this is a city road. Then they call me up and say, well, blah, 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 according to this, and I have nothing showing that it's a county road or city road. So if you think that it's something the county attorney's office would know, and I wouldn't know, that might be the chance that the county attorney may just want to send a denial letter and start that clock going to get going. But if it's a windshield, like you mentioned, someone flips a windshield and you don't want them yelling at your county employees, they just turn that in and give me their name and address, and I just send a letter saying it's a road hazard and we don't cover those claims. So if it's one like that, where I don't need detailed information about the county's ownership and that, then go ahead and send it in. And we would rather have people yelling at us than yelling at your county employees. You know what I mean? Because, it's like when these people call and they're mad at you because you broke their windshield, just refer them to us, we put it in writing, and then I just block their phone number and we're all good. I wish, right? So what's the problem with lawyer jokes? Lawyers don't think they're funny and no one else thinks they're jokes. Yeah? Okay, is there any questions, especially about those two issues?
We can make those changes.
So that is good, and Kim, I appreciate you saying that, because that is maybe something we can talk to claims on about in the future of how we could maybe do that a more simplified way
I
than.
noticed a little link on your witnesses that says add a witness.
Yeah, you can add a witness. Why not a link like that? Add a claim, and then just have it populate a claim number for each one of those. One of those ML numbers. Because that's a great point. But as of right now, you hit submit and then you start over again. But just so you know, once you've done the first one and you've submitted the police report and all that, just don't redo all that. Just skip, submit. Skip, submit, and we'll get it done. So, any other questions? Johnny in the back.
I just wanted to mention, because you guys have the responsibility to enter the claim, make sure you know who it is in the county that you've identified as the person to legally receive claims for the county. It's the default is the clerk in the statute, but it also allows the county, you're supposed to have, and everybody does, on the state website, who it is in the county that receives notice of claim. And some of you have the county clerk. Some of you have the name of the county clerk in that spot. Some of you have the county attorney, things like that. Just make sure you know who it is that is receiving those notices of claim by law, because that's an important thing for Korby to know. One of the things he always checks is, was that notice of claim made timely for all of you? And this is every public agency, the districts and things too. So make sure the person that you've got listed on that website site still works for your agency. That is a common problem that we see. For some reason, the notices still go to Robert Pirro in Carbon County, even though he hasn't been their auditor for like 5 years. So my suggestion, look, and if you can't find where that is, Sonia knows where that is real quick. She can check for you and see who it is that those notices go to. Because if they don't send it timely or they send it to the wrong person, you may not owe them anything.
Yeah. It's funny, those claim issues is awesome in a way. We've had two very good situations recently as a result of those claim. A person, over a year mark, the attorney sends us the demand. This person, there was no report of an injury at the accident until 60 days after the accident. And then suddenly she ran up 100,000 in medical bills and it wasn't even injured for 2 months after the accident. And her attorney submitted a notice of claim after the year mark. It's fantastic. She sent a letter saying, I hope you have good E&O coverage, have a nice day. And then in Washington County, we had a slip and fall, and it was nice. Both they were kind of fraudulent. Washington County had one where someone slipped and fell at the Dixie Center, is that what it's called? She slipped and fell. It's obviously clearly a kind of a fraudulent situation, and she fell down. And luckily, the Dixie Center is not part of the county. It's part of a St. George County interlocal agreement, and they have their own person designated for a notice of claim. So they sent a notice of claim to the county when it was actually supposed to go to the St. George County interlocal agreement person that was designated, because they didn't look on the website for what Johnny's talking about. They looked on the website just for Washington County and served you guys, and that was wrong. They shouldn't have served you guys. So anyway, that was kind of nice that way. But.
So you just sit on those and not?
Oh, this one with 100,000, I did more than laugh. It was like Christmas came early. I'm going down the hall doing these, all these Michael Jackson movies. It was fantastic. Oh yeah, yeah. One thing Sonia forgot to mention about my youth is in high school I was actually the head cheerleader, which really sounds funny, but if you get to know me, it probably makes more sense. But, that was another kind of strange acclimate from my youth. You had a question, though.
So, well, Johnny was saying to enter on the county member contact. So it's not the department head that goes in there. It's who a notice of claim would be reported to, or is it the risk manager?
There's just one
Yeah.
one official location that you put on that website, on the state website, for anybody to submit claims to the county.
So that's
Yeah,
what it's
so on here,
county information.
Yeah, no, just
not on that's where I'm
yeah, no, Joel Valley just put that there. If you're the person you want me to call. But I think you'd put on there when there's a lawsuit, I think you'd put Scott Sweat. But since he's in your own department, and that's fine too. But I think there we're just saying, when we call the county, who should we talk to? And so like Kim, I just put Kim, and you can just put you, and I don't know, that's fine too.
Okay.
So if there's no other questions, I gotta say one thing nice about attorneys. At the end. What is black and brown that looks really good on an attorney? A Doberman. You thought I was gonna say a suit or something, right? Sorry. Chris, all right, go ahead and thank you.
I'm going to be the fastest speaker this afternoon. My name's Curt Hoskin. I work with WCF Insurance. Been working for them. I'm a claims manager, so I oversee the claims adjusters that take care of all of you when you have your employees get hurt. Been with WCF for about 14 years and in the industry for 28 years in one capacity or another, whether it's risk management or claims. People historically have asked me how I'm doing during the day, and I say, I'm adjusting. Now I'm managing, but I'm still adjusting. So anyhow, I want to kind of like what Korby said, I want to give you just a few things to remember. If there's one thing I could do is put a plug-in for our website, wcf.com. There are all kinds of pre-accident things you can learn there as far as the safety seminars and things like that. So work really hard on emphasizing that. And then once the mess happens, that's where me and my group starts to get involved. And again, if you'll go to ultimately to wcf.com, and there's a place to submit a claim. I know all of you because I've talked to a lot of you. You guys know where it's at and kind of what to do and what's expected, but it's basically name, address, phone number, details, things like that. What I want to emphasize is to give you a few tips. Tips being an acronym. TIP, T is timeliness. So I would rather know about a claim sooner than all the nuts and bolts details. Now, we do want the nuts and bolts. We're going to ask you about the details. But I'd rather know about a claim today than know everything about a claim in 2 days or 5 days or 20 days or 6 months, which sometimes happens, and it's not always your problem. You don't know about it a lot of times. But when we're talking about taking care of an individual, we want to do it as quickly as possible. When we're talking about determining whether or not it's a claim we can accept, we want to do it as quick as possible. When the individual is out needing to get medical treatment and they don't have a lot of direction, so they're going to the ER and running up all kinds of diagnostic tests, it's a lot more expensive for you as well as UCIP in its entirety, which ultimately is you, even though you're pooling those costs, for us to know about it sooner rather than later. For any of you that are familiar with workers' comp, you can have someone go back to work within 3 days if they have doctor's note, and it maintains what we call a medical claim rather than an indemnity or a lost time claim. If you can do whatever you can to help that claim be a medical claim, stay a medical claim, it's a 70% reduction in the cost of that claim. We do all kinds of studies and tracking and trending of our numbers and stuff, and the difference between the average cost of a claim between 0 and 5 days and 5 and 10 days is more than double. It's just the nature of the beast. We start to involve time off of work, again, hospital, and they've seen specialists and testing, and so if we can prevent some of that and have the benefit of getting right on top of the claim and taking care of that person right away, that's what we want to do. So, timeliness. I would be the incident or investigate the incident. The more detail you can do on the front end, even if, again, you don't put it all in the report right up front, but you can send us details or tell us about those details, match up whether when I say I bumped my knee against the table, have that employee kind of walk through what they did. Does it line up? Is my injury consistent with where I say it happened? If you notice inconsistencies, let us know about them. You know, our job is not to deny claims; it's to accept claims unless there's a reason to question them, and that happens on occasion. So we want to make sure you do a good incident investigation. And then P is to be proactive. What does it mean to be proactive on a claim? Again, if we file it timely, I can jump right on it and help that individual to get the best care possible. We can, as the employer, get them to a preferred provider network. We can be proactive in letting them know as they head out the door to the facility, the preferred provider, which again generally is an industrial clinic or an urgent care clinic. Unless it's life-threatening, send them to the urgent care clinic. If it's after hours or whatever and they have to go to the emergency, that's one thing. But if it's also something that can wait till the next morning, we don't want to deter an employee from filing a claim. We don't want to deter an employee from getting treatment. But sometimes you can reason with them and they are okay with waiting till the next morning, which in turn is going to keep your costs down and still get them every bit as adequate a treatment as they need. We also want to be able, as we know about that claim and can be proactive, we can give a lot of instruction and help to that employee. Helping them to get back to normality as quick as possible. So the more proactive we can be, if we get them to preferred provider, we investigate the claim and report it timely, you've made a lot of headway in terms of getting that claim on the right track to get that individual well, get them back to maintaining their full benefits rather than the fraction of benefits that we pay on workers' comp, which is 2/3, and they feel a lot better about things. I do want to say kind of other resulting costs on a claim, just like on liability claims and auto claims, and that we set aside money in anticipation of what a claim is going to cost for the life of the claim. An auto or a liability claim tends to have some finality to it most of the time. Most workers' comp claims, unless there's a dispute on them, they can be a forever potentially claim if there's a need. They don't just close down. Now, there's some claims that get disputed, and we can create some finality. We have claims in our office that are still open, and sometimes they'll close and reopen from the 50s and 60s still, where someone is still having needs. I have actually, on a more serious note, I have 45 widows or widowers who I'm paying survivor benefits to because they lost their life on the job. So these things have a long tail to them. So the more detailed and upfront we can get on claims, the more we can get them back to normality if it's all possible. Most claims are pretty simple. We can fix them, amend them, and get them back. But some of those others have a long, long tail on them. And so we want to try to do what we can to get them well and to keep those costs down. And so those are some of the things we can do. File the claim timely, get the incident so that we know we're really paying for what we should, and then be proactive in getting into the right care and that type of thing. A couple additional things. I get a lot of the time an employer will call and say, I don't want to file this claim because I know it didn't happen, or I'm questioning it. Let us be the decider of that. If that employee wants to file a claim, and then get on the phone with us and tell us every single little thing, even if it's rumor. We want to know all those nuts and bolts details. Well, I know he was skiing over the weekend, or four-wheeling, or whatever. We want to know that. Sometimes we can use it, sometimes we can't, but sometimes we're piecing a couple of pieces that you give us to other pieces that we find out, and it all fits together and allows us sufficient evidence to not be able to accept that claim if it is fishy. There's a lot of times I didn't see it happen isn't a good excuse for not having to accept that claim. We want them to get that claim in as quick as possible. By law, they have 180 days to report a claim. We'd like them to report it within the same day or the next day, but legally they have 180 days. And so it really sets us back when we get a claim really late. Sometimes we still have to accept it or investigate it, but a lot of damage has already been done by that point, and they're headed way down the wrong path. So that's what we want to try to prevent. They had some legislation this year even where you could be fined for trying to deter an employee from filing a claim. It's thousands of dollars, so you want to really try as best you can to say, hey, I have issues with this claim or whatever, but I'm going to let you handle it, and then again, let us know about all those things. I'm trying to think if there's anything else, just outright. Basically, you guys are, I want to say, lucky in a sense that when you have claims and they cost money, we compare your employees and your accident history. You each have a rating. It's called an experience modification. It's what your experience or what your reputation of claims, the number of you claims have, compared to similar people, similar types of jobs, so other counties and government entities and that. So you want to try to be on the bottom end of that, being the one that's generating lower costs rather than the one that's kind of a burden to everybody else. So if you kind of follow some of these things, it'll go a long way to keeping your overall costs and rates that you're having to pay us when it comes down to it. So, other questions? Just think of WCF.com. If you want to just have all kinds of exciting fun and spend a weekend, you can spend a whole weekend on our website looking and learning. It's just crazy fun. I mean, I don't know what else is more fun. I do have one attorney joke. It's my all-time favorite attorney joke. So I'm a BYU guy, so alum and everything. So I especially like this, but there's these two cougars that are kind of trailing one another through on a mountain trail, and the one behind starts getting a little close to the one in front and kind of nuzzle him on the back, and the cougar in front says, hey, what are you doing back there? And the cougar in front says, oh, I just ate an attorney and I had to get that bad taste out of my mouth. I mean, that's one that behind us. I ruined it, so anyhow. It's my favorite. Any other questions? Please give us a call if we can do anything to help. I know you guys interact a lot, especially those that are maybe a little larger that unfortunately you have to talk to us all too often. We always say we'd love to talk to you, but if we don't have to talk to you, that's a good thing because we're not having claims. But definitely give us a call and let us know if you need anything. So thank you.